All right, how you guys doing today? We about to hop into a little reaction. The first things first, though, man. Just make sure you like that video. Hit a little exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? So today we just got a little video coming from the Bible Project. Now we used to actually watch these guys in my Sunday school. So this video is talking about the disturbing but surprising wisdom of Ecclesiastes, an animated explainer. So when I first read Ecclesiastes, it was actually immediately one of my favorite books. Oh wow, this camera angle is atrocious. It was actually one of my favorite books because it talked so much about how, yeah, I don't want to say life is useless, but it talked a lot about the vain things of this world and chasing after things that are gone like the wind and the pointlessness of it. And it really hit home when I read it for the first time, and I haven't read it again, but maybe that'll be a book that I revisit. It's not a long book. I very much encourage you to read it. It's written by King Solomon, aka the wisest person who ever lived on earth, also debated to be one of the richest persons that ever lived on the earth. So very, very, very good book, considering he was one of the most richest people. He had them 700 wives and concubines, and that added to it. He said, I was chasing after the desires of my own heart, but it wasn't working. Like, nothing was doing it. So let's check out this video. I haven't studied Ecclesiastes, haven't read it in a while, so let's check it out.
We're exploring 3 books in the Bible known as the wisdom literature: Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. And they're all asking the question, what does it mean to live well in this world?
So we've looked at Proverbs, who you could think of as a bright young teacher.
She's all about pursuing wisdom, an attribute of God that's woven into reality. And she's optimistic that if you use wisdom, you will build a successful life.
But then we come to Ecclesiastes, who's more like the sharp, middle-aged critic. And he says,
You think using wisdom will bring you success. You'd better think again, because life here under the sun is meaningless.
And that's a phrase he uses a lot in this book.
but to understand this book, we have to realize first that we're hearing 2 voices.
So first there's the teacher, and we've been calling him the critic. He's the main voice in the book.
But he is introduced to us by another figure, the author. And he's the one who's collected the critic's words, and then at the end of the book summarizes everything and gets the final word.
So why does the author want us to hear from the critic?
Well, he wants to turn your view of the world upside down, and he's going to let the critic explore 3 really disturbing things about the world.
And we should warn you, these are pretty intense.
Yeah, so the first is the march of time, or as the critic says,
Generations come and generations go, but the earth, it's been here long before us and will be long after. No one remembers people from long ago, and all the people yet to come, they too will be forgotten by those who come after them.
So on a cosmic scale, you and I, we are just a blip. Stars are born, and then they die and form planets which orbit new stars, and those planets, they change over time and eventually burn out.
And amidst this cosmic backdrop, my entire existence is like a blink in time.
Which leads to the critic's second disturbing observation, that we are all going to die.
Humans face the same fate as the animals: death. All people, the righteous and the wicked, the good and the bad, those who offer sacrifices to God and those who do not, they all share the same destiny. All this activity and madness, then we all join the dead.
Man, this book is depressing.
And so is the final disturbing thing for the critic, and that is life's random nature.
So in Proverbs, life isn't random. There's a clear cause and effect relationship between doing the right thing and being rewarded.
But the fact is that life doesn't always work that way. The critic has observed a glitch in the system. He calls it chance, or in his words,
The race doesn't always go to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food always come to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the educated. Time and chance happen to them all.
So his point is that you can't really control anything in life. It's just way too unpredictable.
So if I want to master life,
Then you're setting yourself up for a fall. Now, throughout the book, the critic uses a metaphor to tie together all of these disturbing ideas. Nearly 40 times he says that everything in life is hevel. It's a Hebrew word that means smoke or vapor. Like smoke, life is beautiful and mysterious.
it takes one shape, and before you know it, it takes a new shape.
And smoke looks solid, but try and grab it, it'll slip right through your fingers.
And when you're stuck in the thick of it, like fog, it's impossible to see clearly.
Now, our modern translations have lost the metaphor, and they usually translate hevel as meaningless. But if you read closely, the critic isn't saying that life has no meaning, but rather that its meaning is never clear. Like smoke, life is confusing, it's disorienting and uncontrollable.
So what are we supposed to do with all of it?
Well, surprisingly, the critic first of all acknowledges the perspective of Proverbs. He says it's a really good idea to learn wisdom and to live in the fear of the Lord.
Really? I mean, he just said that doesn't guarantee success.
But he knows it's the right thing to do. But secondly, and more often, he says that since you can't control your life, you should stop trying. Learn to hold things with an open hand because you really only have control over one thing, and that's your attitude towards the present moment. Stop worrying, he says, and choose to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, or the sun on your face, or a good meal with people that you care about.
The simple things in life.
Yes, and both the good things and the bad, because both are rich gifts from God. And that's the surprising wisdom of Ecclesiastes.
Listening to the critic is painful and can lead you into some dark places.
And that's why the author speaks up at the end of the book. He doesn't want you to lose hope. He wants to make you humble into someone who trusts that life has meaning even when you can't make sense of it, that one day God will clear the hevel and bring his justice on all that we've done. And so he tells us that the proper response to all of this is to fear the Lord and keep his commandments.
And that's the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, there's one more voice in the Bible's wisdom literature, and that's the book of Job.
And he will bring us the final, much needed perspective on our journey into wisdom.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. We make a lot more videos like this one.
So I really like the illustration there, right? I told you guys I haven't read it in a minute. And I know we talked about the things of the world being is like vapor, like smoke, you know, it's goes away, but it's also formless, right? He said it can make it seem like it's something there when really it's intangible, and it's so form, shape, misting, or form changing, shape shifting. I'm so tired. Sorry, I'm tired. Very tired. I just woke up from a nap actually, because the day I've had is long. Yesterday was long. And what's it called? So I really like the point where it's like with mist, you know, you're in a fog cloud, you can't really see ahead, but when God comes back, he's going to take that fog away. And even if you look at that like an unbeliever and a believer, right? Our fog, God has cleared that for us. We can see. Sorry that I hit the microphone. We can see clearly. We can see the straight and narrow. Other people is blinded, right? It says their hearts are hardened. There's another metaphor that I think the Bible uses, right? But you know, our minds have been cleared. We can see past the smoke and the fog. We can see the destination that God has for us. Now, at times, our heads can become clouded. You know, that's not saying it can't. But the thing is, when we try to help somebody else, you know, when you're trying to lead somebody through that mist to see what there is, you know, you're trying to guide them. That's like us talking to an unbeliever and sharing the gospel with them, right? We're trying to get them to see what we see. We're trying to get them to see through the smoke and through the mist and get onto the straight and narrow path. Because like he said, there's a whole bunch of chance, right? God has predetermined everything, but even then we have free will, there's chance. And so what the chance is, you know, this can happen, this can happen, this can happen. Don't leave it up to chance that somebody could hear the gospel elsewhere. We got to be the ones moving our feet, showing people, being the, what's the word? The Sherpa? Yeah, Sherpas who lead people around, you know, they lead people up the mountain. We got to be their Sherpa, leading them through the fog, showing them the right way. And then we can only do so much, right? We only can show them the way because God has already shown us the way, right? I can tell you, he can show you type beat. So if we tell them about our experiences, they take that to heart. Let God soften their heart, and well, they soften their own heart, and then God softens it even more and shows them what he can do. At that point, it's already done did, right? Because how many people do you really think it's like, I was told about Jesus, so I believe about Jesus? And how many people do you think it's, man, God did something in my life, and I saw, I experienced, I felt, I just, all these different action verbs that show that God did something for them or did something to them. And they're like, I believe now. There's no doubt in my mind because something happened versus, yeah, man, Jesus is real. You should believe. You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference. But I do think that planting the seed always starts with telling somebody about Jesus. There's some people that God impacts without anybody ever telling them beforehand. And that's great. However, chances are we still got to be the ones to plant that seed, right? If I didn't tell my friend, you can misinterpret things for sure. Like, what's it called? I had my friend, I told you guys about him once. He said, oh man, I felt this burning pain in my chest, but it was like a sensation of, I don't know. And I was like, and at first he wanted to talk to me because he thought it was God. But then when he started talking to other people about it, he was telling them like, I don't know. It was like this pain or the universe or whatever the case is. And I was like, you know, so you can misinterpret these experiences that you're supposed to be having with God, right? Because his first reaction was, shoot, this might be God. Because realistically, something supernatural happens, your first thought isn't, oh, the universe is out to get me, oh, random heart condition. Like, no, bro, it's like, oh, shoot, is God about to do something? And if you see it on social media, right, something bad happens, something drastic happens, people's first reaction is always, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me. But I thought you weren't religious. I thought you were an atheist. I thought you ain't even believe in God. You talking about some pray for you? Why? Because when people have no other option, they realize what is really true. And I think that's a beautiful message. And we got to tell people what's that truth so they don't have to see it get bad before they experience it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want them to be down and out first, because when they're down and out, they might never get to that chance. Or you might have to be waiting for them to be down and out, and then it just never happens, and they never get to hear about the gospel. However, if they hear about God in a loving way and not an attacking way, not in a pushy way, just like a general, hey man, this is my experience. I love God. It's a relationship. It's not a religion. I really think you will benefit from this because X, Y, Z. He's got love for you. He's got love for me. You know, death isn't the end goal. And I think a fantastic question to ask a lot of people is, what do you genuinely think happens after you die? And if so, why do you believe that? Or why do you think that is? Or what then? Why live your life? What's the purpose of your life then? You know, because a lot of people, they won't have a strict answer to that question. And I'm not saying to scare them into being like, oh shoot, my life really does have no purpose. I guess God really is the purpose. Like, that's not what it's about. You know, it's about the love, recognizing that God's real and all that. But I think that's a great way to think about it. Like, if we're all chance, then death is nothing. Life is nothing. But God came and said that it was. And the evidence is there. So, alright, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.